This is State of Kansas versus Colt Gordon, case numbers 23 CR 32 and 23 CR 31. All right, we were set today for a status conference. There was a first appearance on September the 18th, at which time I advised Mr. Gordon of his rights and the charges against him. Additionally, I advised him if he was going to apply for an attorney, he was to do so without delay. Mr. Gordon, what's the situation with your attorney?
I put in the application.
Have you hired an attorney?
I thought the application was
the application I received was submitted yesterday late afternoon. You've had a month, and I had advised you earlier that, if you were going to be applying for an attorney, you needed to do so right away. The less than 24 hours before this hearing, is that your version of right away?
No, sir.
Mine either. Or the application you submit, you didn't complete. You claim to be self-employed, but you don't put down any income. So what's your income?
Your Honor, my income is limited to what I can do at the farm that I'm living at.
All right. Well, I'm asking what money you make in a month?
Indeterminate. I don't really have a set amount.
All right. What did you fill out for your taxes this past year? What was your annual income?
Sir, I've never filed taxes.
Well, you claim that within the last 6 months you worked for Brandon Escarino for B&E Tree Service out of Eureka. How long did you work there?
Approximately 10 months.
And you didn't have any income through that?
After I was released from Greenwood County, I only maintained employment there for a month or two.
Well, the question is what your income was.
I'm a computer in both Greenwood and Elk County. Colt was supposed to be on bond. He's supposed to be living at his mom's house for a long period of time while he was on bond in Elk County or in Greenwood County. And he said he was living at his mom's, but I now know because his stepdad has sent an email and letter to the editor of the newspaper and called my office multiple times that he was not actually living at his mom's house. He was living at his girlfriend's house in Eureka. Then he ended up getting picked back up and put in jail. He dropped a knife on his foot and cut a tendon and was supposed to have surgery. I don't know what happened.
Was this before or after October 18th when we had our first appearance?
After.
Or September 18th.
Yeah, so he was supposed to be at his mom's house on bond, and then he ended up being picked back up on his probation revocation again. And he is supposed to be told us he could go live at his mom's, but his stepdad's angry and said he doesn't want him there. So he's not living with his stepdad, to my knowledge. He's back on. He's supposed to be at his mom and stepdad's house, but he don't want him there. And his girlfriend has called and interfered with my office, Judge Satterfield's office, and everyone else in Greenwood County, calling the jail, the sheriff, me, everyone involved, trying to get him to live at her house. When he was picked up and put in jail,
when was this? When was he picked up and placed in jail?
Just recently, and the computer's down, so I can't look it up, Judge. But when he was put in jail just recently, he tested positive for methamphetamine and amphetamine because he'd been using plus THC. And so when Sheriff Samuels UA'd him, he was positive for drugs. He'd been staying at his girlfriend's house. So
I thought he was supposed to be under house arrest out of Greenwood County.
He is, and he's staying at his girlfriend's house at 1 South Street.
Oh, that's my mother's address.
Okay, so that's his mom's address. He's supposed to be there. To be at his But I've said no to his girlfriend because she's where he got high at when he was on bond.
Ms.
So
DeLay, are you familiar if he's represented in your Greenwood County cases? And
he
who
is.
that is?
He is represented in the Greenwood County cases. He's represented by Richard Paw up there.
Is that a felony case or misdemeanor?
Felony. No, it was felony that we pled to misdemeanor. So he's supposed to be on 24 months of probation, no contact with the victim.
All right, Mr. Gordon, I think where we left it was, what was your income when you worked for Mr. Escarino?
My hourly wage.
Okay, it seems to me like you're just trying to dance around here. Now,
I'm not. It's just
what'd you make in a month? You worked for him for 10 months. You know, so what were you making? How many hours a week were you working?
Less than 40.
Well, that would be from 0 to 40. Is it closer to 40?
Closer to 30.
Okay, so approximately 30 hours a week. And what was your wage?
$10 an hour.
Do you have any paperwork that reflects what your pay stubs, anything to that effect?
No, sir.
Do you have any income that you claim to be self-employed? You don't have any estimate of what you make in a month?
Your Honor, that's limited to whether or not I can go and do that work. I've been working on mine and my girlfriend's new house we moved into. So I haven't been gainfully employed.
All right. It was represented last hearing that you were awaiting to go to surgery. Did you have that surgery?
No, sir. I have a consultation scheduled on the 24th.
So you're not under house arrest?
I am under house arrest, Your Honor.
Are you under electronic monitoring?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So who's paying for that?
I am.
How are you paying for it when you claim you have no income?
I didn't claim I have no income. I said it's limited, and I've been working as much as I can on the farm that I live on.
Okay, I keep asking you how much you make, and you keep avoiding the question.
Your Honor, I'm not avoiding the question. I just don't have
I'm not asking for a dollar, an exact dollar or cents amount, but I'm wanting some sort of an estimate of what you're bringing in.
Right now, while I'm injured and under house arrest, I'm bringing in very little.
All right. I'm tired of playing with the game here.
I know he's currently only working on his mom's land because that's where he's being. I just asked Kelsey Moore with electronic monitoring. She said he can't leave the property. He's just working on the property at his mom.
All right. But you indicate that there was an electronic monitoring. He was in violation of that out of Greenwood?
No, he was in violation of his bond prior to going on to electronic monitoring.
When did he go on the electronic monitoring?
It was last week. Like I said, I can't pull it up in the computer system, Judge, and that file's in my Eureka office, but he should have bonded last week on with Kelsey Moore with electronic monitoring, Butler County monitoring.
All right. I'm going to revoke his bond at this time. Mr. Gordon, you can resubmit an application that's fully filled out. And I want some numbers in this thing in regards to you're paying bills of some sort, and you keep listing zeros here for rent, for everything. And every time I've asked you about 5 to 10 different ways what money you're making, you haven't given me a number yet. So you can fill this out, and I will bring you up at first appearances after we've taken care of the other matters. But for right now, your bond is revoked, and you'll remain with the Elk County Sheriff's Office until we do that hearing later this afternoon. If you're wanting a court-appointed attorney, you need to fill out that paperwork properly. Counsel, what I'm looking for is a preliminary hearing that we're probably going to set for November 22nd. Check with the clerk's office, but that's the date that we were looking at.
On November 2nd?
November, I thought it was November 22nd was what the clerk gave me, but we'll take that up later on. At first appearances are 1:30. There's a couple of first appearances, and then we'll take up Mr. Gordon's at that time. If there's additional information concerning his Greenwood status, I would like to know what that circumstance is with whatever bonds he's posted or not, if those are OR or cash or surety.
He has a bond up there with Judge Satterfield. I'll call and get all the exact details, Judge. He's supposed to be living at his parents' house due to being high at his girlfriend's house when he was supposed to be living with his mom. He's angered his stepdad to the point he wrote a letter to the editor that came out in the paper yesterday.
Well,
Your Honor, me and my stepfather get along fine. And
okay, I'm not going to get into what your relationships are with that right now. We'll take up your case when we've concluded the others at 1:30. Right now, you're staying at the Elk County Jail. We're adjourned. Next matter is a continuation of a case from this morning in regards to Mr. Colt Gordon. Mr. Gordon, following our hearing this morning, you submitted another application for court-appointed counsel. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Gordon, there were several things that were very different from your original one. You did not list Mr. Escarino as a prior employer within the last 6 months. What's the difference on that?
I believe it was more than 6 months ago.
And you're claiming you have had no income in that period of time. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, which again brings me to how is it you're able to afford doing the house arrest with electronic monitoring? You indicated this morning you were paying that yourself. How is it you're able to do that with no income?
I help on the family farm.
Well, that doesn't answer how you get the money to pay for that. Is somebody paying for that? You said this morning it was you.
Yes, sir. It is me, but it is work that I've done for the family farm.
So you're getting paid is what my point is. What are you getting paid?
I am paid by my mother.
All right.
And I am paid only what is needed necessarily, because I'm not asking for any payment. I'm just working so I can not feel like a uncontributing. I'm not just going to live off their dollar. I have to contribute.
All right. What you're telling me is that you are she basically your family pays whatever bills you have, including your house arrest electronic monitoring.
Yes, sir.
All right. So how many bills do you have in a month? How much is going out?
I'm unsure. You want an approximation of how much?
Yes, that's what I've been trying to get most of the day from.
$100 for the food bill, and that's the only, other than electricity. I mean, I guess I could have put utilities, but it's not like I have running water, so I didn't even list that, nor am I in the inside very often, so I didn't feel it necessary to list a utility. But
all right, Mr. Gordon, one of the questions, and you answered this, is no. indicated you're not represented by an attorney or court-appointed counsel within this district. However, through the discussion, it appears you have cases out of Greenwood County. That is, we are part of the 13th Judicial District, which includes Elk and Greenwood County. Do you have court-appointed attorney out of that case?
Yes, sir.
And who is that?
I want to say his name is Charlie, but I can't remember.
Ms. Dillette?
I believe he has Mr. Paul.
Okay, Richard Paw, does that sound right?
Yes, sir.
Have you spoken with Mr. Paw at all?
Yes, sir. I went to his office in Wichita prior to getting my house arrest.
All right.
Judge, I did some research. So the day before Mr. Gordon was arrested in September, he dropped a knife on his foot. He ended up cutting a tendon. He hadn't sought any medical care in the 24 hours leading up to being arrested. And when he was arrested, he had reported it on his way in as an injury. They called the jail nurse to look at it because it was pretty nasty. It did need stitches. She sent him to the hospital and turned out there was a tendon cut that he needs surgery for. He was arrested September 15th of 23. Then he was to appear before Judge Satterfield. And in the meantime, on his bond, he was to live with his mom and stepdad, where he's living now. And then he told us he wasn't. Then he told us he was, and it went back and forth. And we found out he wasn't. And his stepdad has admitted that he wasn't staying where he was supposed to be. So he was put on a GPS so we would know where he was. So he is on a GPS on bond because he has a revocation pending in Greenwood County. That was on October 5th of 23, and he was bonded to his mom, and he's to be staying with his mom there in Severy and his stepdad, and that started 10/6 of 23. And that's where he's been. He does have a girlfriend who is pregnant. Right now, with the house arrest, he is not allowed to go to any of the pregnancy appointments and only to his own medical appointment and for legal purposes that are verified through the electronic monitoring. So that's the situation in the dates of all of the stuff going on in Greenwood County. Mr. Paw is his attorney there. There's been a ton and flurry of phone calls and emails from his girlfriend wanting him to reside at her house. The stepdad is not happy because he let everyone know that Colt had not been living with them and he really didn't want him there, but he was positive for methamphetamines and amphetamines upon him being taken into custody on 10/5. They subsequently UA'd him. I don't remember if it was the 6th or the night of the 5th, but they UA'd him and he was positive for THC, methamphetamines, and amphetamines. The Sheriff Samuels had him UA'd. All
right. Well, bond in this case had been set at $5,000 OR. It was indicated to me he needed at that time, which I believe was September 18th, that he was getting surgery. This morning, he advised me he hasn't gotten surgery. He has a consultation coming up. Mr. Gordon, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
When is your medical appointment on that consultation?
The 24th of this month, sir.
October 24th. Where is that at?
I believe so. I want to say Marion, but I can't remember.
All right.
So,
Mr. Gordon, where is it that you live? And I'm looking for an address. Where are you residing? Where do you go?
Currently, I'm residing at South Street, Sever, Kansas.
Okay, when you say currently, why are you saying currently?
Because I'm on house arrest and I'm told where I'm residing.
Okay, is that the same address that your house arrest is under?
Yes.
And is that your mother's home?
Yes, sir.
All right. Ms. Gillette, what is it I revoked his bond this morning because he hadn't followed through with the application appropriately, and he wasn't answering the court's questions in regards to his income, or at least not giving answers that were responsive to the question. I continued this afternoon in order that he be in custody, which he apparently has been since that time. What is your request concerning his bond at this time?
Judge, his probation in Greenwood has been revoked. He's basically on house arrest. He is to report to the Greenwood County Jail on November 3rd to serve some time there. So as soon as November 3rd comes around, he's to be in the custody of the Greenwood County Jail and currently on house arrest till after his October 24th appointment.
How long is the sentence on November 3rd?
He, I believe, has an additional 120 days, I think. I don't have the ability to look it up from here. And the file, like I said, is in my Eureka office, and I called and got all the information from the jail and as much as I could, but I forgot to ask how long he has to serve. I'm pretty sure it's 120 days.
5 months.
Huh?
5 months, because
it's it. And so he's actually in Greenwood County, under Greenwood County's house arrest, and he will be going back on November 3rd. And we'll find out then if he has to have surgery or something. And Judge Satterfield, said he could be furloughed for the surgery and then returned to the jail. But we're dealing with a lot of it. And now we're having to deal with the surgery for an incident that didn't happen while he was in custody, but we're dealing with it up at Greenwood. So basically, he's going to be in custody either on house arrest or turned in on the 3rd.
All right. Mr. Gordon, I'm going to set your next hearing is going to be a preliminary hearing. A preliminary hearing is a probable cause determination on your felonies. The purpose for you today, which you had a month, was to, if you were going to apply for counsel, which you should have done within the first day or two, and you submitted it, basically it was brought in late yesterday afternoon. So we weren't able to get you counsel, nor did you complete that form correctly. As you put no incomes, no numbers of any sort. So I'm going to set your preliminary hearing for November the 20th at 11 a.m. Based upon what you're advising me today, along with your new affidavit of indigency, I am going to appoint an attorney. However, you may be assessed those costs at a later time. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
How old are you, Mr. Gordon?
I'm 27 years old.
Mr. Gordon, you told me this morning you have never filed a tax return. When I asked if you had what your tax return was or how on your income, how is that? You've had a duty to do that ever since you started, certainly being an adult.
Nobody informed me of that duty.
Mr. Gordon, you got to be kidding me.
I'm not.
And you haven't figured, are you an American citizen born here?
As far as I know.
As far as you know. You have a hard time just answering the question yes or no, don't you?
No, sir.
All right, so November 20th at 11 a.m. is your preliminary hearing. I'm going to attempt to appoint Mr. Paul. He does take felony appointments in Elk County on occasion. If he's able to do that, you'll need to be in contact with him so that he can be prepared to do your hearing on November 20th. If it comes to a situation where if it comes to November 20th and I find out Mr. Paul advised me you haven't been in contact with him and we can't proceed with the hearing, you're probably not going to have a bond in this case any longer, or it's going to be high enough that you're probably going to sit there. You understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. So I am going to approve court-appointed counsel. We don't know if Mr. Paul will be able to take this. You will be advised. I'm going to allow you to be released on this case on the 5,000 OR bond that was prior to that. But a condition to that is that you comply with any and all conditions of probation and or bonds from Greenwood County. So if it's a condition that you have to do in Greenwood County, that's a condition of your bond here in Elk County. Need any clarification on that point?
No, sir.
All right. Ms. Gillette, anything further today?
I can't think of anything else. So that's, well, so you're reinstating the bond he was on?
5,000 OR bond has been approved with that. And so, yes, I'm reinstating that bond. He may be released following this hearing from the sheriff's office. Is there somebody there from the sheriff's office that's getting that?
Yes, Your Honor. Well,
thank you. Thank you. Very well. If there's nothing further on this matter, it is adjourned and Mr. Gordon can be released. Another first appearance.